speaking of absurd, let's play this clip from the Five yesterday. This crossed our path, and it was that ridiculous. Here's Greg Gutfeld, and he's got Matt. How did you characterize this, or what is it, Brendan? How did you characterize it? Like some way of owning the libs or something. I can't remember what it was, but here's
one
Greg.
strange trick.
Yeah, exactly. Own the libs with this one strange trick. Greg Gutfeld has figured it out.
My view, there's a really, really big story going on regarding immigration, but it's going on outside of this show right now. If you turn on any other channel, viewers are being sold the idea that America is the land of white supremacy. Yet right now we are seeing thousands, tens of thousands, and it will be millions of non-white people risking life and limb to come to America. Why would they do that? If they believed what they saw on CNN, that we are a nation of racists, why are they coming? Because they know that it's not true. They are actually literally voting with their feet, which is destroying the big lie about what this country is, the big lie that's being sold to Americans by CNN and other media outlets. America, they believe, is the land of opportunity, not the land of white racism. And that is tearing a massive hole in the white power narrative that is being played 24/7. The bottom line about immigration, a country has to be able to dictate its borders. That's obvious. Other countries can't dictate your border by having large numbers of people go to it. Yet we have to control it. They have to control theirs. But I want the people to come here that want to be here with me. That makes me feel good. It makes me feel good because they're validating our country, they're validating our values, and they crush the central fallacy of woke identity politics, that this country is forever stained with white supremacy.
Cool,
because
give them
there
all
are
citizenship.
people that we're seeing right now on the border who blast that idea all to hell. And that should make everybody happy, and it's why other networks aren't covering this story, because it destroys all the other stories they're doing.
Well,
my favorite part of that was when he said, "It makes me feel good. It should make you feel good. Makes me feel validated." You know, when you go to therapy, you learn that validation is something that sometimes your therapist needs to do to you to just kind of get you to a certain point. But once you gain some iota of self-understanding, you don't constantly need validation in order to go about your daily life and have a view about yourself and the people that surround you. But conservatives and people insecure in their worldview and constantly scared, people like Greg Gutfeld, need to see politics in the lens of validating their homerism about the United States. And so that's how he twisted all those things around and got to this point.
yeah, I mean, he spent last night at 3 a.m. writing out a soliloquy that proved to him that there's no white supremacy in the country. I mean, first off, the idea that he had to write all this out, I found quite impressive. Like, he figured out this trick, and it's so intricate.
It's like
There's
that
no
meme
way.
of the math problems going across Zach Galifianakis' face.
Right. There's no way, I guess, according to Greg Gutfeld, that non-white people would try to immigrate to this country if we were white supremacists. Now, there was immigration during slavery, but according to Greg Gutfeld, that was not an era of white supremacy, right? Because the two things can't exist at the same time. You can't have immigrants coming who are not white. And we should also add, that time, Italians weren't even considered white in the construct that they are today. But there was people coming from China. There were people coming from all over the world to this country. But if, according to Greg Gutfeld's calculations, his formula that he's discovered that nobody will report because it will destroy everything that everyone else is talking about, even during slavery, that we were not a white supremacist country. And then the other thing is embedded, what's fascinating to me is, why are he acknowledges they're risking life and limb. Now let's just break that down for a moment. Why is this a risk? It's either because they're coming from areas where it's so dangerous that their lives are on the line. Many of these people are coming from some of the most violent places in the world. Or we have made it so hard for them to immigrate to this country that they're risking their lives in the process of doing it. And if we were not a white supremacist country, we would make sure that those people are not risking their lives to try and immigrate here. We would be far, even if we were going to have a harsh, restrictive immigration policy, we would make sure that we were not putting them in kids in cages, or we would have proper facilities. We would not be putting them in prisons. His whole premise that they are risking their lives is an indication of our white supremacy.
It's also good to know that they're not just coming for the welfare, but to work hard. And also, if you look at the ruling class of any Central or South American country, pretty white also, especially compared to the rest of the population. A lot of people that have to make these journeys are indigenous themselves. So white supremacy is very much active in those other places. It's just that materially they've been forced, or for whatever reason, for safety, they have to move.
Matt, are you telling me that colonialism is white supremacy?
Yeah, in fact, those are also European settler colonial nations. So
wow.
Just because they're not as lily white as the ruling class Brian Kilmeade is comfortable with.
And I would also just add, but with all that said, Greg should spend the next part of his show talking about why none of those Republicans voted to provide a path of citizenship to the Dreamers or to those folks who are here on temporary protected status, and why the Republican Party is so virulently anti-immigrant. I mean, that's the story that they're not telling on Fox, is that the people, is that, you could destroy. I mean, if Greg's right, he can shatter the entire consciousness of this country by promoting immigration amongst the Republican Party.
If they're coming here to experience the spirit of the anti-racist utopian America, why not reward them? Greg Gutfeld, just wants to slam the door in their face. There's that's the logical hurdle that he has yet to climb, but I wish him the best of luck in that effort.
And lastly, let's talk about what the big lie is. Matt, will you tell people where that phrase is coined from?
Nazi Germany, I believe. Big lie. I can't remember the exact case study it was, but basically, if you tell a lie big enough, I don't have a history on this as well as I should, but
the idea that the big lie is in fact that there's white supremacy in this country, and it's debunked by the fact that people who are trying to immigrate here have to risk life and limb is just absurd. It's absurd. And in fact, also, if that was the case, why is Greg Gutfeld even living in New York? Right? I mean, if you don't like the ideology of a place, and that's and that is enough for you to leave, why is Greg Gutfeld in New York?
Yeah.
Why
blaming
is
Jews
Dave
for
Rubin in Florida? In California. Give me a break.
Yeah. Blaming Jews for Germany losing World War I is an example of a big lie.